Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jimmy, and in today's video we will be taking a look at the Galaxy Z Fold5, the Galaxy Z Fold6, and the Galaxy Z Fold7, and just to see how much this thing has changed over the years. The purpose of the video right now is because the Galaxy Z Fold5 is being sent back within the next couple days, because this is the phone that we traded in for the wife's mint colored of the Galaxy Z Fold7. She is coming from the Pixel Fold, which is a very thick, big phone. She wanted something that was much lighter and smaller, so we went with this one right over here, which is the Galaxy Z Fold7, which is one of the reasons why there is no S Pen support on the Galaxy Z Fold7, because they went for a more slim, thin design, taking away one of the layers of the display, and also taking a look at the specific numbers of how many people actually use the S Pen. I know that some people are sad that it's gone. You know, when it came down to the Fold5 and the Fold6, they had the S Pen support, even though it was all external. But because of that, possibly with it being external, there just wasn't so many people using the S Pen for the Fold as much as they are on the Galaxy S series. Now, when you take a look at how thin this device is, which is the Galaxy Z Fold7, you'd be able to see that first off, my camera isn't even picking up on it. So let's see if we can get there. So this is so thin that there's not much space to get any smaller. As you can see, that USB Type-C port, it's really hitting the edges there. If you get any thinner than this, then we will be risking having issues when it comes down to the USB Type-C port, because then it's just going to be cracking and breaking, and it's just not going to be, it can't really get any more slimmer than this. Putting these phones in their folded state, you can see that the Galaxy Z Fold6, this one was a fingerprint magnet. So I'm touching these phones pretty much the exact same on all three of these devices. I'm opening them, shutting them, moving them around, but you can just see all the fingerprints on the Fold6, but not anything really on the Fold5, and just a little bit on the Fold7. Now, putting them close together, you can see the size difference of all three of them. And especially the Fold5, this is more of a round device. I mean, you just got rounds here, you got rounded corners, which I did kind of like back then, because when you're holding onto the phone like this, you don't have anything jamming into your palm when you're holding onto the phone. And then on the Fold6, this one has that sharper corner, that edge, and after you use your phone quite a while, especially if you're holding onto it like this, that is where you feel it getting into the palm. And then for the Galaxy Z Fold7, this one, I mean, it kind of went in the middle of the two. It is very similar to the Fold6, but I think maybe because it's so thin that it's not hitting my palm as much. I just remember that when it came down to the Fold6, it was hurting my palm when I was holding onto it like this for an extended amount of time. Then this is where you can see the size difference of the displays. So on the Fold5 and the Fold6, this is a 7.6 inch display. This one over here is 8 inches. Then let's say we take a look one more time over at those cover displays, just because I didn't share their sizes here. So when it came down to the Fold5, this one was sitting at 6.2 inch. For the Fold6, this one was sitting at 6.3. And then this one is now at 6.5. So you have a larger, easier display on the Fold7 than you did from the Fold5 and the 6. I will state that when we moved from the 5 to the 6, it was pretty good, but it's just so much better with this one here. It actually feels like you're just using a regular phone. So I compared this versus my Galaxy S25 Ultra, and they almost felt the same. So I'm not really missing much of a display screen size when it's shut. And then when you have this thing opened, then you just have that big display to watch and play with. For a demonstration, just to show how thin and light the Fold7 is, let's just weigh all three of these devices. So when it came down to the Fold5, this one was at 254 grams. So remember, that one was 254. For this one right here, it was 243. So it went down a little bit. And then here is the Fold7, which is super thin, super slim and light. 227. So if you're somebody who is going from a Fold5 to a Fold7, you're going to see a big difference in weight. 254 going all the way down to 227. And then for the comparison of the Fold5 and the Fold7, you can see just how much more thin it is. It's almost like in the folded state, it's almost the size of one of the folds right here. So how thick this portion is, this Fold7 is about that when it is just fully shut. Then when you get this thing opened up and then you want to do that comparison, you can just see again how thin it is. So if we want to open this one up, Then we'll place them right next together again. You can just see how much thinner this one is. And again, it does make a big difference when you're just using it naked, and also it makes a big difference when you're using it with a case. So when you have a thinner phone with a case, it's going to feel much better than a thicker phone with a case, because then it's just going to get exponentially bigger. And now taking a look at the crease, so we have a light right here that you'll be able to see that crease right there. So on the Fold 5, this one had a pretty decent crease. You can really feel it in the middle, and you can feel it towards the edges. So you can feel it towards the middle, you can feel it towards the edges. So when you're using your phone and there's lights around you, not only will you be able to see the crease, but you can definitely feel it. And then for the Fold 6, this one feels pretty similar. When it comes down to the crevice in the middle, the crease, it's not as big of a depth or gap that I feel. So I can feel the gap right there with my entire thumb. So you were definitely able to feel it on the 5. On the 6, it got a little bit smaller to feel when it comes down to the crease. And then here is the Fold 7. Now this one, I can barely even feel it. Right there, I can't feel it at all. Like there's nothing. So more towards the middle, you will barely feel it. Especially if you're just using the phone as normal, you'll never feel it. If you're trying to feel for the crease, then that's when you will feel it. Towards the end, that's where you can feel it a little bit more. So they're able to improve the crease in the middle here. So again, it is harder to see with the lights, and especially when you are trying to just use the phone. If you swipe across it just like this to switch between your home screens, not thinking about it, you're not going to feel that crease. But with any of these other two, if you were to go through it right here, you can definitely feel the crease when you're just switching your home screens. One huge improvement on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 over the 5 and the 6 is the camera setup. So the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is the first Fold that has a 200 megapixel camera sensor on the back. These other two over here had a 50 megapixel. Then when it came down to the camera sensors on this main display right here, so when you open this up, the main display here, this was a under display camera right there and right there. Both of these are 4 megapixels. This one is 10 megapixel when it comes down to the camera. This does not have that over display camera. You can see here that it's blending in because the screen is on top of the sensor. So it's able to blend in that camera sensor, but this one is not. So you're gonna have a much better quality image quality when it comes down to using this camera here. And then also too, when it comes down to the main display camera, they were able to improve the field of view. So the FOV, meaning how much of the degrees is it able to capture. So this one is at 100 degrees for FOV, and these two over here, these ones are sitting at 85. So if you're trying to take a selfie and get something large behind you or a big group of people, you'll be able to fit everything and everybody with that sensor, but with these two over here, you would not be able to. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to mention with the cover screen, so when it's in the folded state, the cover screens of the Fold 5 and the Fold 6, they're both just at HD+. But when it comes down to the Fold 7, it is the full HD+. So that just means that you'll have a much better resolution on the Fold 7 than you would with the Fold 5 and the Fold 6. Now, when it comes down to the processors inside of these devices, the Fold 5, this one had that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. The Fold 6, this one had the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And then the Galaxy Z Fold 7, this one has that Snapdragon 8 Elite. Now, when you compare the Snapdragon 8 Elite of the Fold 7 versus the Fold 6, your CPU went up by 38%, the NPU went up by 41%, and then the GPU went up by 26%. And that is versus the Fold 6. And I remember looking at the Fold 6, comparing it to the Fold 5, and it was almost the same number. So every time you move generations of Snapdragon, they usually go up about like 30%, 40%, and then like 28%, something like that. So that means that that's the same difference from the Fold 6 to the Fold 5, which then where I'm guessing, which I will be very close, when you compare the Fold 7 versus the Fold 6, going from that Snapdragon Gen 2 to that Snapdragon 8 Elite, then you will be able to see an increase from the Fold 5 to the Fold 7, going at about like 78% increase for the CPU, going up by about 82% when it comes down to the NPU, and then somewhere right around 52% when it comes down to the GPU. Now everything else will almost stay about the same, especially when it comes down to the battery size, because they're all 4400 milliamp hour batteries, but you will have the better processor in the Fold 7. You're also going to have almost the exact same storage. You got your 128, the 256, the 512, and this one I believe also has an option for the 1 terabyte. And then you also have these same RAMs. They all have like 12 gigs of RAM, but there is an option for the 16 gig of RAM on the Galaxy Z Fold 7. Now, one of the other areas of a slight difference will be the fingerprint reader. So the fingerprint reader over here on the Fold 5 and the Fold 6, those are capacitive fingerprint readers. Somehow they're able to get that ultrasonic fingerprint reader on the Galaxy Z Fold 7 on this button. And then lastly, when it comes down to the Galaxy Z Fold 7, you'll get the latest version of Android as well as Samsung One UI. So you have Samsung One UI 8 with Android 16 right over here out of the box, that you wouldn't have to go through and wait for an update, especially for the Galaxy Z Fold 5. So that was everything that I wanted to share in today's video. I wanted to do the comparison physically and also some of the spec-wise of the Fold 5 to the Fold 6 to the Fold 7. Now, you know, this camera bump is going to push out and protrude out quite a bit more, but that's just because these other phones are thicker. So that sensor, this whole entire hump, the length of these sensors are going into the device. This one has less to go into, which means that more of it will have to pop out. So that does it for today's video. Just keep this in mind when it comes down to upgrading your phones. When it goes from just one generation to the next generation, you're not going to see a big difference from just one gen. There was a little bit of difference between the Fold 6 and the Fold 7, but when you go from a 2-gen upgrade, like the Fold 5 to the Fold 7, that 2 years right there, you can see massive differences between the phones. Not only just the looks and the feels and the designs, but also the improved cameras, and then also the upgraded Android versions, and especially the upgraded processors. Now, if you are thinking of upgrading from the Galaxy Z Fold 5 or anything that's even older than that, you know, the Fold 2, Fold 3, Fold 4, you will see a massive difference between your device and the Fold 7. Because there is a 2-generation gap here between the 5 and the 7, you'll see a massive difference when it comes down to the look, the feel, the design, the improved cameras, as well as the improved performance from the latest Snapdragon processor on the inside. Now, if you are looking at purchasing the Galaxy Z Fold 7, if this video has helped you out in any type of way, I will be placing this link below the video inside the description, take you over to the Samsung website. It's an exclusive link where I am a part of an affiliate program. I can earn a small kickback of a percentage for any sale that I do. So if I changed your mind or got you interested in the Fold 7, I'd appreciate if you click on that link and purchase it from there. But other than that, I hope you guys have appreciated this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Subscribe on the very bottom left-hand side. And if you like this video, then more than likely you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.